When I was having my car washed, the car wash owner gave me a pack of cigarettes. I said I had quit smoking and thanked him. The owner said, "These were found under your seat." I was stunned. I had never lent my car to anyone. Oh, no, that's not right. I was on a business trip a couple of days ago, and it was my wife Ava who drove this car. The cigarettes were Hungliken, which cost about 20 yuan a pack. None of my friends smoked this brand, so it definitely couldn't be someone on my side. I took out one cigarette and smelled it. It was still fresh and not damp. It should be less than a week old. Calculating the time, it was exactly the days when I was away. Holding the cigarettes, my heart skipped a beat. Could it be that a man drove my car when I wasn't around? But I quickly scolded myself for making a big deal out of nothing. So what if someone drove the car? I was just being overly suspicious. My wife didn't have good driving skills in the first place. Maybe she just asked a colleague to drive, and it would be safer that way. After dinner in the evening, I joked with my wife, "Ava, did you secretly ask a man to drive my car behind my back?" My wife was changing clothes with her back to me. Suddenly, she turned around and stared at me intently. I smiled and threw the cigarettes in my pocket onto the table. The car wash owner found them. "So, which colleague was it?" Oh, it's our manager Lucas. You've met him. I couldn't park the car properly, so I asked him to help me park it. I'll return these to him tomorrow." My wife quickly stuffed the cigarettes into her bag and then changed her clothes and went downstairs for a run. I watched her back on the balcony and fell into deep thought. I have met their manager Lucas, but I remember that he smokes Hungliken. And after all, as a middle-level manager in the company, who would still smoke a pack of cigarettes that costs only about 20 yuan? These details can only be understood by smokers. My wife, of course, wouldn't understand. I suddenly felt that things were going wrong. Even if she asked someone to help drive the car, it wasn't a big deal. But why did she lie to me? After thinking it over, I decided to check the content of the dashcam in the car. It was better than just speculating here. However, when I opened the memory of the dashcam, the recordings before and after were all there, but it was just missing the few days when I was on a business trip. If I hadn't specifically checked the recordings, it would have been very difficult for an ordinary person to notice this problem, and the gap in the middle would be covered up in just a few days. I quickly realized that she had deliberately pulled out the memory card during those days. So, I was certain of one thing: my wife was hiding something from me. I first ruled out the possibility that Ava lent the car to someone else. Her family members have their own cars, and there's no need for them to use mine. And if she really lent the car to someone, there's no need to hide it from me at all. I've never been the kind of person who cares about such things. Except for not wanting me to see the person driving the car and hear their conversation, I really couldn't think of any other reason for pulling out the memory card. So, the most urgent thing now is to find that man. I thought about it. Ava pulled out the memory card from start to finish. It's very likely that the man drove the car for most of those days. And her workplace is not close to home. If the man drove my car, what he would definitely do is to send Ava home. We don't have a fixed parking space at home, so we can't check the surveillance at a fixed point. Also, we're not sure of the time. But every time the car enters or exits the community, there will be a record at the gate guard. I made up my mind, bought a pack of good cigarettes, and went straight to the property surveillance room. Damn it. I've been quitting smoking for more than a year, and this time it's going to be ruined. Since it was already evening, there was only one person on duty in the surveillance room, and it happened to be Henry, a fellow villager who I was somewhat familiar with. This made things much easier. I knocked on the door. Henry was watching short videos on his phone. When he saw me come in, he quickly put his phone away. "James, why are you here?" I smiled and patted him on the shoulder. "Caught you using your phone at work." Henry looked a bit embarrassed. Before he could speak, I had already handed him a cigarette. "Henry, I need you to do me a favor. I noticed that there was a bit of paint scraped off the back of my car a couple of days ago. It seems to have been scraped by the lifting bar, but I can't figure out if it happened on Monday or Tuesday. So, I want to check the surveillance records. Is that okay?" "James, really? If the bar hit the car, wouldn't it smash the car? It's not very likely that it happened in the community, is it?" Henry was a bit hesitant. I knew he was afraid that I would hold them accountable. If I claimed compensation from the property management and it got involved, he would definitely be in trouble for showing me the surveillance. "I'm not sure, so I'm just taking a look." "Don't worry, bro. I've already filed an insurance claim, and it won't affect you guys at all. But those insurance people are so stubborn. They insist that I provide surveillance photos. Later, I'll just take a photo that looks similar and give it to them to fudge it over. Henry's expression relaxed a bit. I took the opportunity to stuff a 100 yuan bill into his hand. Do me a favor. The back of my car has been scratched for a long time. I'm just taking this opportunity to get some compensation and fix it. If I don't get the compensation, it's a waste, right? Henry accepted the money and naturally became much more polite to me. He didn't know much about insurance either. He just said, "Don't tell anyone about this." Then he turned around and helped me adjust the entry and exit records from a few days ago. My car entered the community at around 6:10 p.m. those days. Henry brought up the long-distance photos from the gate camera at that time and let me take pictures for the insurance company. I took out my phone and took 2 pictures. Then I threw another cigarette to Henry and said goodbye to him with a smile. As soon as I stepped out of the surveillance room, my face turned pale. In the photos, it was clearly a man driving the car, and Ava was sitting in the passenger seat. They got home about 20 minutes later than when I usually pick up Ava. That is to say, during these 20 minutes, either Ava went to pick up the man or the man went to pick her up. Due to the angle of the surveillance, the man's face couldn't be seen clearly, so Henry thought it was me. But the man's hand had clearly reached across the center console and rested on Ava's leg. My head suddenly felt dizzy. It seemed that my wife Ava really had a problem. With the time they entered the community, I could have quickly found the surveillance footage of them downstairs, but I didn't do that. First of all, people have their dignity. Now Henry still thinks that the person in the picture is me, and I don't want everyone in the community to know that my wife has a problem. Secondly, I vaguely felt that I had seen the clothes the man was wearing somewhere before. I smoked almost half a pack of cigarettes downstairs, but I still couldn't make up my mind. What was really going on between them? Or to put it bluntly, to what extent were they involved? After all, we've been husband and wife. Even if we were to separate in the end, whether it's decent or not is a completely different matter. I looked up at the balcony. I didn't know how much longer I could live in this home. Suddenly, my eyes lit up. Ava's sportswear was hanging on the balcony. It was reversible. If I turned it inside out, it would be the same color and style as what the man was wearing. I seemed to have grasped something all of a sudden. Could it be that the man was the one who runs with her every day? I quickly opened my phone and looked through Ava's moments. Fortunately, she didn't post a lot, and there was no limit on how many days the posts were visible. I remembered that she had posted a group photo of her and several of her regular running companions before. After flipping through a few pages, I finally found it. There were 5 people in the photo, 3 men and 2 women. Ava and another woman were crouching in the front row. Among the 3 men in the back, the first one from the left, that is, the one behind Ava, in terms of body shape and feel, was very similar to the person I saw driving in the surveillance. The man wasn't tall, but he had a good figure. You could tell that he exercised regularly. The key was that he had a pretty boy's face, which was exactly the type that women like nowadays. The time of the photo was a year and a half ago, a little earlier than when we got married. If it was really this person, could it be? I didn't dare to think any further. In order to figure out the situation, I decided to suppress my urge to confront her and endure it for now. I would fight a prepared battle. I pretended that nothing had happened. I even made advances to Ava in the evening, but she said she was too tired and we could do it another day. I sneered in my heart. After a few days, I guessed that she had long forgotten about the cigarette pack incident. So, on the weekend, I took her to the mall. I walked into a sports specialty store and pretended to try on a few pairs of shoes. I also asked the salesperson if there were any discounts if I bought a lot, say, 50 pairs. When the salesperson heard this, she was extremely enthusiastic. She consulted the store manager for me, gave me the discounts for several styles, and also left me her WeChat and phone number. I made an appointment with her to contact her after I made a decision when I got home. Ava naturally heard it too. She asked me, "Why are you buying so many shoes?" "Ah, don't mention it. My boss suddenly got the idea to promote the marathon culture and do a company team-building activity." I saw that she was listening attentively, so I took the opportunity to ask her, "By the way, the company also needs to find someone who runs regularly to be our training partner, once a week, with flexible working hours, and the pay is quite good. You run often. Do you know anyone suitable?" When Ava heard this, she became excited. "Can't I do it? You?" I looked at her and pretended to be in a difficult situation. "It's better to have a man. There are a lot of men in the company, you know. And with our relationship, if you don't charge, you'll suffer a loss, but if you do charge, It'll be embarrassing. That's true. Aren't there any men among those you run with? She thought for a moment. There are. I'll ask for you. The next day, after she finished running, she took the initiative to ask me if the company still needed the training partner we talked about. I said of course we did, but it would be best if I could have a chat with him first. There were some things I needed to communicate with him in advance, and I would try my best to fight for more pay for him. She said it was okay and then invited me to go with her the next day. I knew she had taken the bait. If I hadn't said that, I wasn't sure if she would be alert, but she definitely wouldn't have taken me to meet her running friend. And if I had followed her, I might not have gotten any useful information, and it might have backfired. Ava came from a poor family background, so she had a bit of a character of being fond of taking advantage. I deliberately said that the pay was good. Since she couldn't earn it herself, she would rather let someone close to her get the benefit than an outsider. The next day, Ava took me to the place where they often ran. There, a man had been waiting for a long time. As soon as I saw him, I knew it was indeed the man I had seen in her moments. And seeing him in person, I was even more certain that the man who had driven my car to pick up and drop off Ava a few days ago was him. The man exchanged a few pleasantries with me and we added each other on WeChat. He said his name was William and he was a PE teacher at a primary school in the west of the city. I said that was great. Just based on his qualifications, I was definitely going to give him a raise in pay. Ava showed a hint of pride on the side, which made me feel sick inside. William was also quite happy to hear that and casually took out a cigarette and offered me one. My eyes shrank. Sure enough, it was the same Hunglican cigarette that had been left in my car. Then I secretly estimated in my heart that the distance from the primary school in the west of the city to Ava's workplace was almost exactly a 20-minute drive. All the information matched up. Then I ran with them for a while and secretly observed the relationship between them. William showed off in front of me intentionally or unintentionally, sometimes sprinting at a changing speed and sometimes stopping to do some stretching. Ava, on the other hand, seemed to deliberately keep a distance from him and silently followed behind me without saying a word. These two people put on a good act, but they had too little social experience. You're already introducing business to him, and you still say you're not familiar? People who truly have nothing to hide won't act so distant. And several times when we stopped to rest, I caught William pretending to stretch his body, but his eyes passed over me and landed on Ava. That kind of look, men all understand. It's the feeling that I've already completely defeated you, but I still want to play the fool and have some fun with you. There was contempt and mockery mixed in with the unquenchable pride. I didn't see how Ava responded, but a surge of a nameless anger welled up in my heart. Damn it, those two adulterers. Afraid that I couldn't hold back, I made an excuse that I couldn't run anymore and went back first. This man, I will definitely make him know who the real clown is. As for Ava, to be honest, I still held a glimmer of hope. If she still had a conscience and adhered to the last bottom line, since we've been husband and wife, I don't want to make her look too bad. So it's not time to confront them yet. After leaving, I didn't go home right away. Instead, I went to find a friend of mine, Julian. This guy comes from a wealthy family, but he's idle all day long, messing around with a group of young guys and playing with some trendy things. But his character is beyond reproach, he has a good popularity, and he's familiar with all kinds of ways. I told him William's information, showed him William's WeChat, and asked him to help me find out more about this guy. Julian teased me and asked what was going on and why I had suddenly changed my ways and become interested in a man. He and I grew up together since we were kids, so I didn't feel embarrassed to tell him. I told him the whole story. As soon as he heard it, he jumped even higher than me. Fuck him. Is this pretty boy tired of living? Do you want me to take a couple of my guys and teach him a lesson? I told him to hold his horses and not give the game away. I still hadn't figured out the exact situation. After we investigated it clearly, I would definitely make him pay back double for what he had done. He said okay and that he would immediately find a way to figure out the pretty boy's background and then settle the score with him later. When I was about to leave, Julian stopped me and gave me a USB drive. This is something one of my little guys just tinkered with. It can decrypt and copy the information in a mobile phone. I originally thought it was useless, but it seems it's just for you. I smiled bitterly. All the good luck in my marriage has been used up in catching an adulterer. When I got home, Ava had already come back. She asked me in surprise where I had been. I told her the truth that I had gone to see Julian. She knew about my rich second-generation friend, but I said that Julian had invested in a new project recently and made a lot of money, so I went to see if there was a chance for me to get in on it. How about it? Is there a chance? When she heard about the money, Ava's eyes lit up again. There shouldn't be much of a problem. With my relationship with him, he said that when the project needs additional investment next month, he'll calculate it and tell me the details then. My husband is so amazing. Ava was overjoyed and kissed me on the face. I didn't know if she thought it was a double blessing today and wanted to show her affection, but she deliberately took off her coat in front of me and walked into the bathroom in an enchanting way, hinting that we could be intimate in the evening. I felt sick inside and said that I had something to do tonight and needed to look at Julian's materials. I told her to go to bed first and then I went into the study. I opened the software Julian gave me on the computer. While Ava was still taking a shower, I connected her mobile phone to the computer. In less than 10 minutes, all the content of her mobile phone had been copied onto my computer. After putting her phone back in its place and returning to the study, I took a deep breath. Although I was mentally prepared, when I really uncovered the wound and saw the most bloody scene, I still felt a little apprehensive. I typed William's online name into Ava's WeChat contacts and pressed enter. William's profile picture popped up. My hands were a little shaky. I clicked on it, but there were only a few words. Huh? What was going on? I scrolled through it. There were no more than 20 conversations in total, all about running. The earliest one was more than a year ago, and the latest one was 2 months ago. Could it be that I was wrong and they were really innocent? I was a bit confused. But I quickly reacted. No, that wasn't right. They acted very convincingly, but just like this time when she took me to meet William, if things are too perfect, there's something fishy. Being too distant is just fake. Since she had arranged for me to meet William, it was only natural that they would communicate with each other a little in advance. But there had been no contact between them in the past 2 months. Either she had deleted the chat records or she had another account to communicate with him. I thought about it carefully again. If she had deleted the chat records, it didn't seem very necessary. I didn't know Ava's mobile phone password, and I never had the habit of checking her phone. And generally, if someone wants to delete the records, they would either delete them all. If they were careful enough to leave some irrelevant information to throw people off the scent, they would definitely also know to keep a few recent messages. So most likely, she had another account to communicate with William. That was even more of a problem. I had to find her other account. At this moment, I suddenly remembered that not long before Ava married me, she had changed her mobile phone number. After that, all her accounts were registered with the new number. She just said that she didn't use the old one anymore, and I didn't keep it. I was a bit annoyed. It wasn't easy to find out the old mobile phone number now, let alone that mobile phones weren't real name registered in the past, and it might not even be traceable. Just when I was stuck, an old iPad on the desk lit up for a moment, probably prompting that some software could be updated. My eyes lit up. This iPad was brought by Ava. Since it was very old and not very useful anymore, it was now only used as a clock. But the Apple ID in it was her previous one, and it was a QQ number email that I had never contacted. I immediately checked that QQ number. The QQ space hadn't been updated for a long time, so it seemed that it wasn't in use anymore. But from the QQ number, I was able to trace back a bound mobile phone number. That's right, it was Ava's previous number. I entered that mobile phone number in that Add Friend function on WeChat, and sure enough, a profile picture popped up. I just took one look, and my head buzzed as if it was about to explode. The profile picture of that account was the same as William's, which was a pair of holding hands. William's WeChat nickname was Mr. William, and the nickname of this alternate account was Miss Ava. No wonder when I added William on WeChat, I noticed that Ava's expression was a little unnatural for a moment. It turned out that the hands holding in William's profile picture were actually holding my wife's hands. And this wasn't even the most shocking part. Ava probably thought that I would never find this account, so she didn't set any restrictions. Even though I hadn't added her as a friend, I could still see the latest 10 moments. I clicked on the first one, and it completely made me give up my last bit of hope. There was a photo showing a pair of feet, one big and one small, side by side sticking out from under the quilt. The time was the days when I was on a business trip, and the caption was, "With you, there is warmth." And I recognized the background of the photo at a glance. It was on the bed in the next bedroom. I almost threw up. Blood rushed to my head, and it took all my effort to hold back the urge to rush over and slap her a few times right now. Damn it. I've been working hard outside to earn money, and you two have put a huge green hat on me at home. When I scrolled through the other moments, they were all about their love affairs, and it was certain that this wasn't the first time they had slept together. Gradually, my state of mind calmed down instead. In fact, I had already prepared for the worst. It was just that seeing it with my own eyes for real, I was a bit overwhelmed by the shock for a moment. I lit a cigarette in the study to calm myself down. Not long after, Ava came over. "Husband, didn't you quit smoking?" At this moment, I even admired my acting skills. That project of Julian's can really make a lot of money, but the investment is too large. I need to calculate it carefully, so I'm smoking a cigarette to clear my head. Ava was both happy and coquettish. "Then you need to take care of your health. Don't worry. You go to bed first. I'll calculate for a while longer." Looking at her back as she turned around, I had already made up my mind. "Since you two started this mess first, don't blame me for getting even. If I don't make you two crawl out in front of me crying, I'm not James." The next afternoon, I went to see Julian again. He said he had made some progress. "Bro, I don't know if I should say this, but it seems like you've been wearing this green hat for a while. You've already said it whether it should be said or not. Stop pretending to be a decent person and cut the crap." I lit a cigarette. Julian looked at me in surprise. "Your psychological quality is quite something. You haven't been driven crazy by the blow, have you?" I showed him Ava's alternate account again. "I found this last night. I've given up all hope and come to terms with it. Now I'm just thinking about how to teach those two adulterers a good lesson. TSK, TSK, TSK. They're really disgustingly cheap." Julian flipped through it a couple of times and then handed the phone back to me. "Then I won't hold back. Your wife and this pretty boy have been lovers for a long time. They've been together for at least 5 years. Julian told me that it turned out that William was Ava's high school classmate, and they probably got together in college. They broke up and got back together many times. After graduation, they lived together for a while and even talked about getting married, but both of their families were in poor financial situations. William graduated from an unknown sports university and couldn't find a good job. He's still an off-the-books teacher at the school. Ava's family thought William couldn't afford to buy a house, and William's family thought Ava couldn't do housework or take care of the family and couldn't help their son either. Coincidentally, at that time, William was working in a gym and flirted with a client and got together with her. In a fit of anger, Ava accepted the blind date arranged by her family and ended up with me, the big sucker. It seemed that not long after we got married, once Ava drank too much at a company dinner and called William at night, saying that she still couldn't forget him. Then they got back together and have been sneaking around ever since. Julian said that all this was told by one of his business partners, who happened to be an old classmate of William's. Their affairs had already spread in the classmate circle. It suddenly dawned on me. No wonder Ava didn't invite any of her classmates to the wedding, and I've never seen her have any contact with them since then. When Julian saw that I had really let go of it, he revealed the final shocking news. According to that person, William once got drunk and boasted that Ava had even had an abortion for him. At this moment, my heart was calm. I was just worried that if Julian asked too many questions, it might tip them off. Julian told me not to worry and said that he made an excuse that a friend of his had a crush on William and wanted to find out about his character. And William's classmates' final evaluation of him was that all of his wits were used on playing around with women. Just then, William sent me a WeChat message asking if I was busy and when I would be free to go running together again. I knew he was subtly reminding me whether there was any progress on that matter. It seemed that his classmates' evaluation of him wasn't accurate. This guy not only uses all his wits on women but is also very greedy for money. Since he likes these two things so much, I might as well give him a big gift. I asked Julian, "Do you have any friends like a scheming woman?" Julian was taken aback for a moment, and then he quickly understood what I meant. "You're really ruthless." He quickly found an Olivia. She was in her 30s, with a standard internet celebrity face, and she looked like someone who knew how to handle things very well. It was said that Olivia received enough flowers to fill a trunk on every festival, but she never crossed the line. She only earned commissions from selling houses and insurance. I told Olivia the general situation, told her to maintain her persona, not to act too hastily, and that I would reimburse her for any expenses, and the final big reward would be hers. Then I started to set a trap for William. First, I told him that the boss wasn't around recently, so the running training was put on hold. He was a bit disappointed and replied with an "oh." But I also told him that when the company was promoting it vigorously, a client's boss also wanted to find a running training partner and asked me to inquire about it. I asked him if he was interested. William perked up immediately. "Sure, bro." So I made an appointment for him regarding the time and place, and I especially reminded him that this boss was a powerful woman who had high demands on everything, and he must arrive on time. He was even more enthusiastic on the other end. Thanks, bro. I promise I won't let you down. In the evening, Julian specially drove his BMW 740 to act as the driver and took Olivia to the appointed place. William had already been waiting there early. I didn't show up because I was afraid it would affect William's performance. I just said let them talk on their own. Julian later told me that when Olivia got out of the car, not only was she beautiful, but she was wearing a tight-fitting sportswear that outlined her curvy figure. She immediately became the focus of everyone's attention. But Olivia was as cold as ice to others. However, she was gentle and generous when she saw William, as if she was really impressed by him. William probably had never felt his self-esteem so satisfied in his life. Coupled with a few flirtatious gestures from Olivia, he was completely smitten. In the end, when Olivia wanted to pay William his remuneration, he flatly refused to accept it, and they even made an appointment for the next time. In comparison, Ava was simply a piece of trash. Of course, William wouldn't tell Ava about Olivia. Since I wasn't there, he felt even more at ease. I told Olivia to play the long game and slowly reel him in, and I would set up the trap on the other side first. 2 days later, I went home and told Ava about Julian's investment. The total investment needed was 1.2 million yuan, and it was estimated that the capital could be recovered in about a year, and at least 1 million yuan could be earned in the second year. Ava was overjoyed and kept hugging my arm and leaning against me. I said, but there was a problem now. Where could I get 1.2 million yuan? I managed to scrape together 200,000 yuan and transferred it to Julian. I was afraid I had to find other ways to get the remaining 1 million yuan. She was a bit anxious. The duck that was about to be cooked couldn't fly away. She asked me what I planned to do. I said I planned to mortgage the house, and I should be able to get a loan of 1.5 million yuan. As soon as Ava heard this, her face changed. The house had always been a sore spot for her. She always felt that when I dealt with the house, I was guarding against her. In fact, the house was only in my name and was my premarital property. She had asked to add her name several times, but since there was still a 300,000 yuan loan on the house, the name couldn't be changed temporarily, so she gave up. I told her not to worry. I could use the house as collateral and apply for the loan in her name. And when signing the contract with Julian, it would also be in her name. In this way, the actual house payment and investment income would be in her hands. Wasn't she afraid that I would run away? She thought for a while and said coquettishly that it wasn't like that. She just always felt a bit scared about mortgaging the house. I said, what were you afraid of? If anyone should be afraid, it should be me. What if you ran away with someone else? Then I would lose both my money and my wife. She smiled even more brightly and almost pounced on me right then and there. I was cursing in my heart but quickly stopped her and said we should talk about the serious matter. I pretended to be in a difficult situation and said, actually, there's another problem. What's wrong? Just that there's still a bit of a loan on this house. It has to be paid off in full before it can be mortgaged. Otherwise, the bank won't do a second mortgage. Ava's face darkened, and I didn't know what she was thinking. It's not a lot, just 300,000 yuan. It's a pity that I can't come up with a penny now. Do you have any way to make the funds available? The money can be paid back as soon as the loan comes through. Ava stared at me intently, as if trying to figure out my intentions. But I still had a trump card. As long as the loan is paid off, we'll go through the transfer procedures first and add your name. What do you think? In this way, we'll be in this together as husband and wife. In the future, when we make a fortune, neither of us can run away from the other. I pretended that I wanted to tie her down firmly. When she heard this, her expression immediately cleared up. Okay, I'll borrow the money from my parents. Finally, she took the bait. When I married her, I gave a real 250,000 yuan as the betrothal gift. Her parents said they would save it for us, but in fact, they had long regarded it as their daughter's private money. Even if I couldn't get this money back, I wouldn't let her have it easily. But I still had to pretend to feel embarrassed. Is it not appropriate? Mom and Dad might think I'm always thinking about their money. It's okay. Don't worry. I'll talk to them. After all, it's for our family. They'll support us. Then, all right. In that case, I'll treat Mom and Dad to a meal. And after we use the money properly, I'll give them 10,000 yuan as interest. Ava happily pecked me on the face several times. In my heart, I thought, there will be a time when you'll cry. A few days later, I treated my father-in-law and mother-in-law to a meal at a high-end restaurant in the local area. During the meal, my father-in-law's face kept changing. Finally, when I toasted him, he couldn't hold it in anymore. "James, is this friend of yours really reliable?" I had already prepared the materials. I took out several of Julian's projects and showed them to him. They were all profitable projects that were heard of in the market, and they naturally couldn't find any flaws. "Dad, you also know our family's financial situation. We've always been at a middle level. While I'm still young, I want to take a risk and let Ava experience the life of a rich lady. Coincidentally, with this opportunity, we can add her name to the property ownership certificate. Isn't this killing two birds with one stone?" My father-in-law was about to say something, but I quickly interrupted him. "If you really think there's a risk, how about this? We won't add Ava's name to the property ownership certificate for now. I'll bear the risk alone. What do you think?" "You silly boy. What are you talking about? Family matters should of course be faced together by two people." Ava's mother glared at her father-in-law and quickly changed the subject. "Then you can transfer the money directly to Ava. Don't go through my hands. When we go to the bank to handle the procedures, let Ava go with us directly. We'll go and change the name after we finish the procedures." Her father finally relented. "We're family. Why are you being so polite?" After chatting for a while, I casually asked Ava in front of my father-in-law and mother-in-law, that William who went running last time, our company had something come up and we had to postpone it. But I introduced a beautiful female boss to him. "Did you tell him about it?" I noticed that her parents' faces obviously changed when they heard that name. Ava seemed a bit embarrassed and said no. Then I went out to pay the bill. At the door of the private room, I heard her mother say in a suppressed voice, "Ava, are you still in touch with that William?" Ava seemed a bit unhappy. I didn't know if it was because her mother asked her or because William didn't tell her that he had met a beautiful female boss. Her father also chimed in, "Ava, I know you don't like James, but since you're married, what else do you want? And now he can make money, and we've invested all our money. Anyway, you have to be more careful." Ava replied impatiently, "I know." I almost laughed when I heard this at the door. "What do you mean by knowing you don't like me? What do you mean by you've also invested the money? It's obviously all my money, but you make it seem like you've suffered so much." "Fine. Anyway, Olivia has already charmed William almost completely. We're just waiting to close the net." Recently, when Olivia was with William, I specially arranged a lot of business calls for her. They were mainly about buying and selling houses. Although the real estate market hasn't been doing well recently, for capable people, they can still make a lot of money. Olivia could always get some extremely cheap houses and then sell them soon. With one purchase and one sale, a profit of tens of thousands of yuan was made. Olivia was originally in this business. She talked about it in a very professional way on the phone, leaving William confused. Coupled with the fact that Olivia timely let William see her huge flow of funds. Sometimes she even asked William to help receive and transfer money. William roughly calculated that the money Olivia earned from a few phone calls was equivalent to his income for several years. After just a few times, he couldn't hold back and asked Olivia what kind of business she was doing. Olivia said it was just some pocket money-making stuff. Her friends had channels to get very cheap first-hand houses used for debt repayment or houses paid as construction compensation, which were only 60% to 70% of the market price. As long as one wasn't too greedy and added a small amount of money, they could be sold quickly. William's eyes almost sparkled when he heard this. He wanted Olivia to take him along. Olivia said that this kind of thing sometimes carried a lot of risks. One might get stuck in it all of a sudden, and he should calculate how much principal he had and measure the risks himself. Of course, William wouldn't show weakness in front of Olivia. He said that his family had prepared some money for his future wife for him, and he asked Olivia to take him along. Olivia pretended to have a crush on William and wanted to give him a hand. So a few days later, she took him to a real estate sales office in another city. The real estate sales office was magnificent and crowded with people. William had never bought a house before and had never seen such a scene. He had only heard that the real estate market was in a slump, but he didn't expect there to be so many people looking at houses. Olivia quietly told William that this project was now selling discounted houses internally. Only those with connections could buy them. The project would soon be acquired by a large real estate developer, and all these people were here because they had heard the news. At that time, the price would increase by at least 2,000 yuan per square meter. William and Olivia entered a VIP room. The real estate agent skillfully showed Olivia several properties for selection. Olivia chose 2 sets and directly paid a down payment of 600,000 yuan for each set. But because each person was only allowed to buy 1 set at a time, she put one of the sets in William's name. William was extremely excited, thinking that Olivia's special trust in him had some other profound meaning. What made William even more excited was that the house in his name that Olivia had put up for sale was bought at a higher price within a week. In the blink of an eye, 600,000 yuan had earned a profit of 80,000 yuan, and this 80,000 yuan even passed through William's hands. William went completely crazy. He asked Olivia to definitely help him get one too. Olivia promised him to get the money ready within 3 days and then go through the procedures with her. The net had been spread out, and we were just waiting for the fish to get caught. At the same time, one day after having dinner with Ava's parents, I told her that Julian's project would be postponed for a month. To save some interest, we would go for the loan later. I asked her to keep the money her parents gave her first, and it would be good to earn a month's interest. I had originally prepared that money for William from the beginning. Then, I stepped back having accomplished my task, making an excuse that I had to go on a business trip for a few days. The rest was left to William's performance. But this time, there was an extra audience for their performance. I secretly installed 2 cameras in my home. I thought that installing cameras in my own home shouldn't be illegal. Sure enough, as soon as I left, William entered my house that night. It seemed that they hadn't seen each other for a while. As soon as he entered the door, they passionately kissed like dry wood meeting fire. But not long after, Ava suddenly pushed William away and asked if he had someone else outside. I almost laughed behind the screen. You're the one having an affair, but you're asking if your lover has someone else. The role reversal is really too natural. William was eager and guilty at the same time. He quickly explained to Ava that he had endured humiliation and gotten close to Olivia for their future. In his words, Olivia was just a rich old woman who coveted his handsome face as a pretty boy, but he had never crossed the line. He had only temporarily ignored Ava in order to make money. He said that he had tried his best and finally convinced Olivia to take him on a deal. In order to give Ava a better future, he had taken out a 300,000 yuan online loan. Now there was still a gap of 300,000 yuan, and he wanted Ava to lend him the money to tide him over. Although Ava was infatuated with love, she wasn't an idiot and of course wouldn't agree immediately. Then William began his performance. He reminisced about the past and looked forward to the future. When he got excited, he could even squeeze out a few tears. I really admired him a bit. Finally, William took out his transfer records and the large amount transaction flow that passed through him from Olivia. This made Ava stunned as well. Ava finally began to waver and said that she happened to have 300,000 yuan in idle money in her hand, but she needed to use it in a month and asked if William could return it to her in time. William nodded like a bobblehead, saying that this was an opportunity given by heaven and they couldn't miss it. The vows came out of his mouth like a rapid-fire gun. He was almost about to kneel down and swear an oath with blood. Ava finally transferred the money to William, and the two of them happily carried out the celebration ceremony for the second half. I watched their drama of borrowing money through the computer screen in the hotel and finally felt at ease. As for what happened later, it's not like I haven't seen my wife before. I'll leave it for her to reminisce about it slowly in the future. The next day, Olivia took William to the real estate sales office again. After William paid the money and signed the contract, the entire big net finally reached the time of harvest. I came back home a few days later. Ava was especially attentive. I didn't know if it was because she was a bit uneasy about lending out 300,000 yuan. I told her some not-so-good news. The project on Julian's side might be postponed again. But to compensate her, I said, how about this? Let's pay off the mortgage on the house first and add your name to the property ownership certificate. This can also prevent any further complications. The expression on Ava's face was indescribably wonderful. She stammered for a long time and said there was no rush. It was okay to do it later. She had deposited the money in a 7-day fixed-term deposit and would go through the procedures after it matured. Then Olivia told me that William had started urging her to sell the house, saying that it was okay even if it was sold at a lower price. He just wanted to get a taste of the benefits for the first time. I transferred 20,000 yuan to Olivia and said it was almost done. After she finished the final task, it would be over. Unexpectedly, Olivia transferred the money back to me. She said that her commission for this deal was 200,000 yuan, and she would only take what she deserved. She also thanked me for introducing the client to her. Olivia delayed William for a few days. Seeing that the 7-day period was almost up, Ava was urging William urgently, and William also started to feel a bit nervous. He asked Olivia to help and sell the house quickly. Olivia said that there were few clients these days. If he was really in a hurry, she could only help him solve it herself, but regarding the details, She asked him to book a hotel room and have a detailed discussion. William thought that there were two good things coming his way, so he happily booked a room and waited for Olivia. When Olivia came in wearing a small halter top, William was immediately at a loss. Olivia said that she was really short of money recently and it would take a while longer. If William really thought she had let him down, he could make his own demands. William had been waiting for this moment for a long time. After some flirting, William went to take a shower first. Of course, before that, I had sent William's room number to Ava using a strange number. All of her messages and calls to him went unanswered. She rushed to the hotel in a fit of anger. Julian and I hid in the lobby and watched. Olivia timed it well so that when Ava came in, she could just see William sitting on the bed wrapped in a bath towel. It was simply a scene of chaos and conflict. Ava was already anxious and angry in her heart. When she saw Olivia, she felt completely like an ugly duckling in comparison. So she vented all her anger on William. William was also furious because his good deed had been ruined by Ava. Moreover, after getting along with Olivia, he now thought that Ava was completely worthless. Since there was no point in explaining, he simply decided to have a showdown. Olivia was much more sophisticated than them. With just a few words, she easily left the scene without getting involved, leaving the two of them to fight in the room. In the evening, Ava told me that there was something wrong at her parents' house and she wouldn't be coming back tonight. I rushed to my father-in-law's house overnight just to see her disheveled expression. When I saw the bruise on her face, I asked her excitedly what had happened. Seeing me so concerned about her, she finally couldn't hold back and burst into tears, saying that she had accidentally fallen and was afraid I would be worried, so she didn't go home. It was very difficult for me to hold back my laughter. After comforting her for a long time, just before taking her home, I accidentally said, "Honey, don't be sad. After the 7 days are up for that 300,000 yuan, we'll go and change the name. This will make you happy too." The expression on Ava's face was even uglier than if she had eaten shit. Her father asked her what was going on, and I quickly explained it for her. But her father immediately sensed that something was wrong. Indeed, no one knows a daughter better than her father. He pulled her into the room and questioned her. Her mother said that I should go back first. Ava was in a bad mood, and they would keep her company. When I left, I heard a loud slap coming from the room. The next evening, Ava came back. The thick makeup still couldn't cover the swelling on her face. She looked haggard but still tried hard to force a smile at me, being much more attentive than usual. I asked her what was wrong. Was it because she had quarreled with her family yesterday? And was the money about to mature? When were we going to the bank? Each question was like a stab in her heart, but she could only swallow her anger and make up all kinds of excuses to prevaricate me. After more than half a month like this, seeing her sighing and getting more and more depressed, I thought it was almost time. I would give her a quick end. I told her that the project on Julian's side was settled and asked her to prepare the money in the next few days so that we could apply for the loan and not delay the important matter. Seeing that she couldn't hide it anymore, she finally told the truth, saying that she had lent the money to a friend and couldn't get it back. I pretended to be shocked and asked her which friend it was. She stammered and finally said the name William. I said don't be afraid. I would accompany her to his school to find him tomorrow and make sure he gave us an explanation. All night long, I heard her tossing and turning and unable to fall asleep. Maybe she also knew that tomorrow would be a crucial moment in her life. The next day, Ava and I barged into William's school and asked him to return the money. At first, he pretended to ask us to give him a few more days. I asked Ava, what did she think? Ava was in a difficult position, neither able to agree nor to disagree. Her face turned red. Probably remembering her final break with William, she finally shouted, "No. You have to give us an explanation today. Otherwise, I'll make sure everyone in your school knows about this." William was also cornered and finally said that the house he bought couldn't be sold now, and the developer had run away, leaving the house unfinished. All the money had been wasted. Moreover, the house price was not just 600,000 yuan but 2 million yuan. Now, in addition to our money and the online loan, he also had to pay the remaining 1.4 million yuan of the mortgage to the bank every month. He was already driven to a dead end. If we pushed him any further, he would fight us to the death. Ava was completely stunned and grabbed his collar and shook him desperately. William also had an outburst of emotions and cursed the boss I had introduced to him, saying that she was definitely a liar. I said I only introduced you for running and didn't ask you to do anything else. Since you think she's a liar, why don't you go to the police? William opened his mouth but couldn't say anything. I knew that he had actually gone to find Olivia a long time ago. But Olivia frankly told him that she was just an intermediary. All his transactions were with the developer, and the money was received by the developer, having nothing to do with her. She told him to go to the police himself. When William said she was committing fraud, Olivia laughed. The people hired by the real estate sales office were found by the developer. The contract was signed by you voluntarily. Open your WeChat and take a look. Which word did I say to deceive you into buying the house? It was said that William had actually been to the police station later, but all the evidence he provided were his own words like a love-struck fool. Olivia hadn't said anything wrong, and not a single cent of the house payment had passed through Olivia. So Olivia was just conducting normal channel sales. As for other issues, he could only look for the developer who had run away. Remembering these painful memories again, William finally turned his anger on me. It's all your fault. It's all your fault. You're the one who caused this. I just won't return your money. What are you going to do? Come and catch me. The more he said, the more excited he became. Ava realized that it was too late to stop him. James, I'm telling you, don't be so smug. Your wife has already been slept with by me. You've already been cuckolded. Which part of your house haven't I slept with your wife in? I'm telling you, I'm bored with her, and I'm giving her back to you. This was really a godsend, saving me a lot of trouble. I secretly applauded him in my heart. Looking at Ava again, her eyes were so wide with anger that they seemed about to bleed. She kept saying to me not to listen to him and directly started fighting with William again. I pretended to be shocked, turned around and left. Ava chased after me. I got in the car, closed the door, and stepped on the gas pedal. It was all done in one smooth motion, and I left with my achievements hidden. At Julian's place, the two of us were leisurely smoking cigarettes. My phone kept ringing with messages and calls. Soon, the battery ran out and I turned it off. When I turned it on in the evening, the phone froze for a full 2 minutes before it reacted. I didn't even bother to look at the popped-up messages. At this time, Ava's father called me, and I answered. He said, "Don't listen to that bastard's nonsense." It was all a lie to me. I said I had asked Ava's old classmates and found out that she and William were indeed old lovers. Her father was at a loss for words. Suddenly, he became angry again. Ava said she wants to commit suicide. If my daughter dies, I will never let you go. I tried my best to hold back my laughter. This was my last bit of self-restraint. Dad, are you confused? Your daughter's money was cheated by William, and she was slept with by William. I'm the one wearing the green hat. If she wants to commit suicide, why are you picking on me? Even the police won't judge it this way, right? Her father was silent for a while. Everyone makes mistakes. You're a generous person. Forgive her this time. We will definitely make her treat you well in the future. If necessary, you can also have an affair once. I'll tell her that this will even things out. I suddenly felt that things were going wrong. Even if she had asked someone to help drive the car, it wasn't a big deal. But why did she lie to me? My phone kept ringing again throughout the night. Finally, it quieted down. The next morning, I received a message from Ava, "Let's get a divorce." I replied to her, "Okay." She sent me a divorce agreement. But when I saw it, her request was actually that the house be divided equally between us, and the 300,000 yuan debt owed to my father-in-law should also be shared equally. Only the car would belong to me completely, as compensation for me. This woman is still daydreaming even now. I didn't agree and demanded a divorce through litigation. In court, I directly presented the evidence of her affair with William at that time. The court ruled that both the house and the car would belong to me. As for the money she borrowed from her father, that was their own business and had nothing to do with me. Ava finally realized that it was me who had set a trap for her from the very beginning. Her whole family kept scolding me with the most vicious words until the judge couldn't stand it anymore and said that if they continued to disrupt the court order, they would only be taken into custody. I walked out of the court, and Julian and Olivia were waiting for me outside. It's not that I got together with Olivia. It's just that she did such a great job that I couldn't help but invite her to a meal to express my gratitude. Afterwards, I asked Olivia if she was afraid of William's revenge. Olivia sneered. With his timid appearance, he wouldn't even dare to stab himself with a knife. I don't know if Ava will get back together with William. However, like the saying goes, a wicked person finds his match. Who knows what will happen? After all, William can be considered to have bought a house for 2 million yuan. Maybe someday, the project will really resume construction and be delivered. I took out a cigarette and offered one to Julian. Julian asked me when I had started smoking Anglican. I smiled and said that today was a good day, and I wanted to commemorate it. In the future, I probably wouldn't smoke Hunliken anymore.